going, buddy?
Hey, how you doing, man? Great to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
I unfortunately I didn't get to read your book, but I've been looking into it, man, and it seems like such a crazy story.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting, and that thanks for your interest. Anyway, it doesn't even matter if you read it or not. Thanks for giving me the platform to share it and stuff like that. It's just it's great to be here and to talk with you. So,
Cool, man. And you're actually in broadcasting and maybe podcasting too?
I did do a podcast for a while, and I was a broadcasting major
Mm.
in college, but I haven't really done much with it since I graduated. I've been working in a warehouse at Amazon, so
Oh,
I mean
really?
that's
You
been
work
cool.
warehouse? That's my bread and
Yeah.
butter.
Oh, really?
Logistics and operations, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've been working there, so it's been
Nice.
great.
So you're kind of like you do a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, with my book,
Mm-hmm.
it's something I do on the side. I wrote it. I started writing it in college, and I finished it in 2018, and like late 2018, and then I published it
Mm.
in 2019, in about March. So it's been a little bit over a year, and it's something I do on the side. I promote it, I
Yeah.
run advertising campaigns, but it's never really been about the money for me, and it's not something I rely on income, even though I've made money from it. But it's more about the message, and that's really the reason why I wrote it and got it out there. And quite frankly, it's kind of a coincidence because I work at Amazon now, but I published it through Amazon, so
Which is great.
kind of a thing, yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
awesome, man. So was there ever any plans to be an author or to write something?
you know what? It's funny because in 2014 when I was applying to college, to all these different colleges, they had me write an essay on this website called College Board or something like that, and it
Okay.
was it was like an essay of what is an experience that like changed your life, or it was something I can't remember the exact question, but I wrote this essay and it was like 6 pages long,
Hmm.
and I think the requirement was like it couldn't be more than 2 pages or one page. Like
Right.
I think I wrote way too much, and I'm like, well, this is everything. I cut enough, of my story to fit 6 pages. So I'm like, well, they're like, yeah, you got to cut it down. It's like, yeah, I will. But at that moment, I knew I'm like, I got to write a book one day. I got to write a
Yeah.
story because it's a big story, and I got to write something. So from that moment on, I knew one day that I would.
Right.
So
But did you always, so it was always a matter of telling your story.
that was, yeah, because there's a lot of people with, mental health
Yep.
in this country, and I
Especially
mean
right
across the
now,
world.
right?
Yeah, especially with quarantine and everything like that.
Yeah.
And you know, I wanted to see if I could just push somebody to call a therapist or to reach out to their mom or dad or something, a friend, a brother. Then the book has done its job because talking with someone really makes a difference because and that's kind of what started everything in my story is that I mean the book is called Embarrassed to Ask. I
Hmm.
never really spoke to anyone about it, and I held these thoughts in myself,
Yeah.
and didn't talk to and a lot that was the worst thing I ever did because it allowed the thoughts to manifest and get worse. So yeah, I had to try and help somebody or at least push somebody.
And how old were you when? Well, first, why don't you give us a little background and explain to people like what some of the things you went through?
Sure.
You know.
So I was born and raised in New York City, in Manhattan for like the first 14 years of my life, and then I went to New Jersey. But that was all because of the disorder. But let me explain exactly what it was. So
Yeah.
in middle school, I was in this regular history class, and the class was stopped because we had these sex ed, I guess, guest assembly speakers, and they came and just tried to educate us about STDs and stuff like that. I'm sure they meant well,
Mm.
but what they did was pretty bad. They did something. It was like a scare tactic approach. I'm sure you've seen it in movies, or maybe you've experienced it in real life, where
Hmm.
people will go like, they'll tell you lies, basically to try and scare you of having sex at a young age. So, for an
Okay.
example, I'll never forget this. This is the one I actually put in the book, but they said if you see someone crying and they have HIV,
You could get it.
don't touch them.
That's weird.
Don't hug them. Don't give them a paper towel. You could get it. I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like that where they said like it was a rapid fire thing. It was like rapid fire. There was a bunch of lies and it was really fast. Like it
Mhm.
was like I don't know how long the presentation was, but they were like at the end, like they were just rapid firing all this stuff, and some of it was truth and some of it was lies. Because I found out later that you don't get diseases like that from tears, and
Yeah.
even if it's just insane. So at the end
Mm.
of that presentation, they were like, "Does anyone have any questions?" And then obviously no one raised their hand. Who wants to talk about sex
Right.
in a middle school classroom? And who wants to be that person to ask a question? And I just didn't want to. I felt I had a million questions. I'm
Yeah.
sure. I hope that other people in the room didn't have as many questions as I had
Well,
because I had a lot of questions.
did
So
you end up talking to any of your friends or peers about it at all, or no?
no,
Right? No, everybody
no,
just went about their
no.
day, or was it
I held
weird?
it in. I
Hmm.
held it in. I don't know about any of the other kids. I'm sure. You know what? If I had to guess, it didn't really affect them. Maybe they knew it was BS. Maybe they
Yeah.
just didn't think about it.
Well,
And
did
hopefully, no
anybody
one went
ever?
through whatever.
Right.
Mhm.
Did anybody ever talk to you in your household about these things, or is this like the first time you're hearing about it?
I knew what sex was. I knew what the STDs were vaguely, but
Right.
I just I when I heard that stuff, I just kind of just assumed. I didn't want to talk to anything about sex with anyone,
Right. Especially
just
being
because.
scared out of it, or
Yeah,
some.
I mean,
Mhm.
it's an embarrassing thing to talk about.
Sure.
No one likes talking about sex with their parents or with anyone. That's
Yeah.
unless you're talking about some nice looking girls, with the guys. But other than that, no one's
No, I
trying to
get
talk
it. Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah.
it.
In
And
a
the thing
serious way,
is,
you don't want to talk. It's embarrassing. It's an
it's
intimate. It's
embarrassing.
supposed to be an intimate thing, I think.
Yeah,
No.
and well, the thing
So
is,
you're
and
taking intimacy and making it scary.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is here is so after that whole conversation,
Hmm.
literally my life was changed forever. I like I said, I didn't want to talk about it, and from that point on, um like my brain kind of started making up and answering questions that I had. I told you I had like a million questions, and my
Right.
brain just kind of just started answering them. So I'm like, could I, so in my head, I'm thinking, okay, if I could get STDs from tears, can I get it from saliva? Probably, because they said you could get it from tears.
Right.
So that's just an example of how everything manifested. And
And at what age was this again? Do you,
I was like 11 years old
right. And you
at this
had these
time.
thoughts for how long before?
No, this is when it started.
Was it a slow thing, or did it just kind of happen?
Well, the thoughts really just started at this time, but the OCD thing,
Right.
it was a progression. Like I didn't just get all these, rituals or something
Right.
like that. It was serious, and it was something where it was a slow thing where over time it manifested into some crazy things. Like, I started my first ritual was like speaking into my shirt. I mean, not speaking, spitting in my shirt because
You didn't want to get it out anywhere.
yeah, I didn't want to get it anywhere. But also, like, when you talk to someone, maybe you feel like, you're just exchanging saliva or something. And I just
Right.
felt like people's talking were
Hmm.
getting into my mouth somehow, and I wasn't gonna digest it. But then
Jeez.
it went all the way, and that we're gonna skip 3 years. It went to not using the toilet, so that meant defecating in bags. It
Yeah.
went to showering with my shoes on. It meant, it meant washing my hands extensively. They would bleed daily because they were so dry.
Wow.
So it went from just spitting in your shirt, using some hand sanitizer to just unlivable type stuff. It was very rough. Again, defecating in bags, uh,
Well,
stuff
I
like
wanted to
that.
ask how. So, at what age did you start doing for these like more extreme rituals, as you call them? At what time, at what age, and how long did you
Well,
live like that?
so it was 3 years, and luckily, my parents, when I went to New Jersey to live with my father,
Mhm.
um,
Where in Jersey?
luckily,
If you don't a
in
roundabout.
Monmouth County.
Oh, so up. I'm originally
Yeah.
from like Atlantic City, Ocean
Oh,
City area.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go there.
Yeah, it's cool. It's all right.
But so yeah, luckily, I moved from New York City. My mom didn't really know what was going on.
Mhm.
And I go more into it in the book, but it was not working, me and her.
Yeah.
Luckily, my dad, um, he kind of knew something was up. He didn't know, but he knew something was up. He tried to Google some symptoms and stuff like that. And then
Okay.
OCD came up, and from there, like he tried to help me by getting me some therapists and stuff, but it was, I was just so messed up.
Yeah.
I needed something radical. And eventually I went to this place called Rogers Memorial Hospital, which is it's a mental health facility. It's a psychiatric facility, and luckily there in 2 months after working very hard with CBT, which is cognitive based therapy,
Which I want to
I was
ask
able to
you.
get over it.
Now, is this a special like I don't want to I'm not taking away from your story. I'm just asking like
Of course.
is this a special case in which you did the work to put it in and I mean obviously you had to do the work to get better, but was this like specific to you and this was a new thing or is this something that we have a grip on so to speak as far as people recovering or changing those behaviors?
Yeah, so CBT, it's definitely not unique to me. I think the thing about OCD in general is you don't get many, like, a lot of cases are different.
Yeah.
So I was afraid of STDs, and that kind of spread to like germs in general because I was just obsessed about being clean, which is a common thing. But again, it was mainly about STDs, but there are so many specific things people are afraid of. For instance, when I was at the hospital, I knew somebody who was afraid of really loud noises. So
Oh,
you can imagine because she associated them with terrorist attacks. And she would think,
is this
if there was if there was like construction going on, she would feel very uneasy and stuff like that. So OCD could be very specific, and that's a detriment to being able to discover if someone has something as serious
Yeah,
as they do.
because when I think about OCD, I think about turning a light switch on and off, like all the
And that's the
popular
thing.
things. So
And
you're saying someone could be scared of something,
oh yeah, it could be very, very specific.
but where does the compulsion come into? Is it for her
Well,
hiding? Is it covering her ears? Like, is it something?
I don't know
Okay,
her specific
I just
case
mean in
in
general, like
general,
how
but
some of
yeah,
the
of course. But for me, the compulsions, what they do is they make you feel better.
is it
You're
coping?
nervous. It's coping, but it's in an unhealthy way because if these rituals, first of all, don't make any sense. You
Mm,
don't have to do them. In terms of, it feels like you have to do them, but you don't really have to do these things.
right.
And like it's just it's very unfortunate because you feel like if you don't do these rituals you will die or something bad will happen and you'll have a panic attack and you'll be very anxious.
Mm,
So it's really terrible that these rituals, it's a terrible relationship because it's like your brain is basically giving you a way to feel better temporarily, but you're doing something that's pointless and in some cases detrimental to you,
yeah,
um
it's kind of
to
almost like
make
a.
you feel.
It's like you're describing addiction.
Yeah, it's so CBT. Your original question. A lot of people go through this therapy. It's just in different ways,
Mm,
and not everybody is the same. There's so CBT really, to put it bluntly, is a way to face your fears. To be honest with you, so I was afraid of STDs. So for an example, my early CBT therapy at the hospital was looking at a picture of somebody with herpes,
mm,
herpes 1, and like the cold sores on the mouth and stuff like that, and just looking at it. That was it. Just looking at a printed page and recording my anxiety levels from 1 to 7
mm.
on the page, and just recording it and to see how high I got. And that
Just from
that
a cold sore.
yeah, just from a printed picture and how
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, and I remember, I mean, it would get as high as like a 5 out of 7 just by
Right.
looking at it, sitting there in the chair. I'd get so anxious,
Mm-hmm.
my heart would start beating. I have to start breathing because I would just get very uncomfortable looking at it, and because I was afraid of it, and somehow I thought like, "Oh my god, can I just get it by looking at it?" It was like
Yeah.
that crazy, and it sounds ridiculous. I'm smiling a little bit now because it is ridiculous, and sometimes I tell people symptoms and they kind of start to chuckle because it is dumb.
Huh.
It is illogical, and that's
Hmm.
something
Yeah, but
it's
if you're living in it, it doesn't seem very dumb then.
yeah, no, it doesn't
So it
seem
sounds like
dumb
a
now.
nightmare.
It's just CBT is it's a very tough thing because basically what that is so I started off with that, and then once from a few days or a couple weeks doing that, and you move on to another level because
Yeah.
then over time, looking at that picture wasn't so bad. Looking at that
Mm-hmm.
picture, I mean, it wasn't nice. It's not a nice looking image, but you don't get as nervous when you look at it for more and more, and you get used to it. So then it moved up very drastically. There was a staff member at the hospital who I thought had herpes.
Oh boy.
And so, yeah, it was. I don't know if they did or didn't. They probably didn't. My mind would just tell me things. So
Right.
I was honest with the doctors and told them like just said like, oh, like, I had this where I think this person might have it, and whatever. So they took advantage of that and started using not experiments, trials with her, things with her.
Can she be outside the room? Now is
N
she in the room?
no, well,
Like,
actually, it was crazy because, like, it was a thing where, I mean, imagine someone being afraid of herpes and other types of STDs. Eventually, what we did was she would drink out of a cup,
oh boy.
and then I would drink out of the same cup, and then she would look at me and say, "I have herpes."
Oh fuck.
Yeah,
That would fuck me up.
imagine being afraid, imagine being convinced that
Yeah.
someone has herpes,
Yeah.
and you're afraid of this, and, you're that person you drink from the cup, that's how you
Yeah.
get it, and she didn't have herpes,
Yeah. But
but
obviously that's not a normal thing, but I guess the idea is to put you through extremes.
put you through
To
extremes,
kind of break you
exactly,
down and kind of rewire kind of.
because when you do that stuff, you realize, "I'm okay."
Yeah.
I'm okay, After all this stuff that I'm afraid of or things like that, that's
Mhm.
why I said it's facing your fears. And once you get through all that, you kind of realize, well, I'm all right. I can get through this.
Right.
And it's I know I'm just talking about it, and it's hard. I did not feel good after I did that, and it took a
Yeah.
lot for me to do that. That wasn't just like I got to the hospital and did that. That was after many weeks of building up to that kind of level. So
Did
they
you
don't just force you.
did you
But
understand the goal even of doing this stuff, or were you just in it and just kind of
so
doing what you're being told and just kind of going through the paces? Or
you know what? I was at a point, and I go through this in the book. This is before I even got to the hospital. I'm like, why isn't anyone else doing what I do?
Mhm.
Why am I the only one that's doing this stuff? And I don't want to be doing these rituals anymore. I don't want to be listening to these thoughts anymore. But I'm just looking at myself and I go, why am I the only one? But I could not stop. I
Right.
couldn't stop. Like, I recognize I'm the only one, and I should stop doing this because no one else is doing this and everyone else is okay, but you know what? I couldn't stop. I
Mhm.
could not stop. I would feel anxious every day, and that's when I knew inside myself that, like, I want to get better. If there's a way out, I want to take it. If there's a way, and what I mean by that is if there's a way to cooperate with someone and get a treatment, I would listen. So I was lucky enough when I came to the hospital, I was ready to beat this thing.
Right.
I was lucky because I just needed someone, a catalyst to push me
Mhm.
and to push me into that. So, um, so when I got to the hospital, I was ready to listen. And that's why I think I was able to get out in 2 months, which some people would go, oh,
It
it's a long time.
it took 2 months, really?
Took 2 months. I was terrified of this thing.
Oh. Uh-oh. Oh boy. Oh, you broke up
Yeah.
there. Hold on a second.
Oh, we all right?
Yeah, just give it a second. I just want to make sure the audio is good. The visual's not as important.
Oh, okay. Let me know if the
I can hear you now.
audio is good. Okay, good.
Good. So it took two
Um,
months. To me, that seems like it was really quick from what you're describing.
you still here? I
Uh-oh.
think we might be having a bit of a issue here.
Yeah, this is
Oh,
the
you hear
issue
me?
with doing remote stuff. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, let me just say that I had these symptoms going up for 3 years, and
Right.
I got out in 2 months of being at the hospital.
Right.
I don't know if that is like I don't know, trying to measure of how quick that is, but I think it was pretty quick, and people would
D-
say it was fast.
well, when you say
Um,
people, what did the doctors say? Did they say you were ready? Did
you know
it was a
what?
good
Well,
impressive, or was it going too quick?
here's what I said, and by the time I was close to leaving the hospital,
Yeah.
um, I was so concerned about leaving. I
Mm,
thought I wasn't ready. When they said I was ready to go, I said I wasn't ready to go. And the thing about the hospital, and they say this, and I knew this, they say everyone leaves 75% better. No one leaves 100%. Everyone leaves 75%. We gave you the tools mentally and the experiences.
right.
We believe you could face anything that you could face. I mean, no one, OCD isn't curable. Everybody has
Mm.
the thoughts and they're always going to have them. It's just, now
Do
you're
you
in the
act on
driver's
them?
seat.
Right.
Not anymore.
That's great.
Fortunately, not anymore.
That's fantastic.
But but the thing is, again, the doctors were saying they wouldn't even talk to me
Hmm.
after I actually um, said I wasn't ready. They wouldn't even talk to me because and I'm glad they did that
Hmm.
because what I was seeking from them was reassurance,
Mm.
and they were denying that, and that I actually think really helped me.
Yeah.
Um, so people have gone back, and they relapse, they call it,
Hmm.
and that's unfortunately for
Have
them.
you
And
experienced any relapses or slips or anything?
definitely had some slips,
Uh-huh.
not in the sense where I've had to go back to the hospital,
Yeah. And do you
thankfully. Yeah.
and are you're so you're pretty aware of this stuff, and like I imagine you have to maintain a little
Yeah,
bit of your own healthy ritual now to kind of keep things in balance.
at first they gave you, I mean, I have my ritual, I mean, not my rituals. I have my kind of trials that I could do at home, or I could do all this stuff, and they gave me these materials that I could have used. But
Right.
honestly, I was at a point where I didn't need to use them because I was educated, and that was the
Right.
thing. They re-educated me about what sex ed really is and how these sexual diseases really work.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they were also debunking all of my kind of thoughts by putting me through the trials, by,
Yeah.
literally contaminating myself and exposing myself into really nothing. It
Yeah.
was just what I thought. So a mixture of that got me better.
It's
Yeah, I'm
interesting that,
blessed.
yeah, that's amazing. Congratulations too.
Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
mean, I feel so I feel great, and
Mm.
but the thing is that I know that I'm not the only one, and there's so many people who have OCD. They might not have what I had, being afraid of STDs, but like I said before, that one girl was afraid of loud noises. There's
Right.
people who are afraid of other things. Anything
Well, I
could
think what
be
you're doing is really
manifested.
important is you become educated, and now
Mhm.
it seems like you're seeking to educate others and to make
Well,
people generally aware. Because the interesting thing to me is that I would have never thought, and it makes sense that since you put it out there very simply and easy to digest, that it's not about fixing the obsession of doing something, it's about getting to the root cause.
exactly. You get to the root cause and you realize, and like people think like, okay, so I'm not gonna have these thoughts anymore. You're gonna have them. I
Yeah.
get them. I get thoughts. Like someone I go, oh, that person might have an STD or something. Just it's not because of anything. It's my mind just
Yeah.
projecting that on them for whatever reason. And you wanna know what? Ironically, I'm so better that encourages me to just go up to them. I mean, I don't know them, so
That's
what am I gonna
that's
do?
good.
But what am I gonna do? But, if there's an opportunity, like they're sitting at a bench or
Yeah.
something, like, it's just me trying to challenge myself, even though, like, I'll just be like, "You know what? My brain is telling me there's something up, but fuck my brain.
Yeah.
Sorry to be frank, but
Yeah.
fuck my brain. I'm gonna go
Hmm.
up and see what's up with this dude or girl.
So I wanted to ask you, having these thoughts still in the back of your head and stuff, when you went to what was it? Uh, the train
School
station.
or
No, the
oh
you were giving away books and talking to people.
oh yes,
Not Times Square. What the hell is it?
Grand Central Station.
Grand Central Station. Did you get any apprehension, or did you just dive right into it and was just talking to people?
Um, so people actually, first of all, most people did not bat an eye. Most people walk past me,
Mhm.
and that's fine. People. I grew up in New York City, so I
Right,
know
you know
people
how
are
it is.
busy.
Yeah.
They're trying to go, so I never really take that as a bad thing.
Mm.
But the few people that did come up, it
Sorry.
was it's a great experience, and I haven't been able to do that, obviously, because of COVID. I'd be doing it now, I'd be
Yeah.
going back out there now. I'm doing a lot of virtual giveaways, but to go back to the question, like, what would happen is people go like, "You're giving away this book for free?" And, that's what they'd usually ask. I go, "Yeah, well, I wanna talk to you, and then I'll give it to you." And they're
Right.
like, "Oh, great." So,
That's
uh,
awesome.
and and usually how it goes is I go, "Take a look at the book and see if you'd be interested, if you actually want it." They look at it and they go, "Oh, it's about mental health. It's about OCD." They would see, and then we would talk about it, and they would go, you know, a lot of people, believe it or not, would say, "You know what? I know somebody
That has it.
who struggles with this," or "I struggle with this," or it's something similar. It's not OCD. It's just, "Look, my father was in and out of these institutions. He had some sort of schizophrenia or something."
Right.
There's hundreds of disorders, and people go, it's great that you're doing this because people need to understand that mental health is serious, and that
Yeah.
people are afraid. That's the thing. People are afraid. They think, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I don't need any
Well,
help. I don't want to talk to anybody."
I
So
think as a society, we've just put this stigma on mental illness,
and you're right. You're
and it's a
absolutely
shame.
right.
I think it's, we have a pandemic going on and everything, but like, there's a reason why we have 10 cities, and there's a reason why, in the city you have people walking up to you, you're like, oh God, get away from me, because there's a lot of mental issue, and people just equate these suffering people to drug addiction, which there's a lot of addiction. There's
Absolutely.
probably multiple things going on. I mean, I'm not a doctor and expert, but
Of course.
I would think that it has a lot to do with mental issue, whether they have addictions and stuff. That might just be a symptom of their mental health. And it's like we just cast aside people that have mental issues.
You know what? And that's part of the thing, and I write about this in the book too. Um, a big reason, our media is so honestly responsible as well.
Sure.
Part of the factors of why people are afraid to talk about mental health issues within themselves or within their family and friends, because there's a stigma of, "Are you crazy?" People go
Right.
like, "Are you crazy?" People don't like. There's always that joke.
Well, there's a danger behind it.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
there's always, sorry to interrupt, but there's always that
okay.
joke I see on TV or on whatever, and they're like, "Oh, you seeing a therapist? You're crazy. You're crazy." And like that's something we
I didn't
need to
know
stop.
what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. There's a joke on
Well,
TV.
it's like one of those things where whenever therapy would come up, someone would either say, "Oh, that person's crazy. They're in therapy," or they would be like, "I don't need to see a doctor. I'm not crazy or
Oh,
anything."
you mean like a
That
TV
kind of
show
thing.
or a sitcom or
Yeah,
something?
or
Yeah,
just
yeah,
a
yeah.
joke. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. I don't. There's a stigma to it, and
And
cause like, not to interrupt, but it's like, um, imagine going to your boss, and saying, I have to go get treated for what? For I have OCD or I have a mental. There's a, you know, there's a stigma. You wouldn't go to your
there is.
boss and say that. It's easier to go to your boss and say, hey, I have a drinking problem. I need to get clean, sobered up for a little bit. I'm gonna be out for a week.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, that's more acceptable than saying I have a mental health issue. I need to take a week to get better or whatever it is.
absolutely, absolutely, and that because of that, people deny themselves that they have an issue because
Right.
they don't wanna confront that, or they don't want anyone to find out that they're speaking with somebody or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the problem. We need to start Society needs to reverse course on that and go, okay, if you need help, like, you should be seeing somebody, and it shouldn't be like a negative thing. It should be a positive thing. Oh,
Right.
I'm gonna treat this. I'm gonna get better in myself. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
get better for my community around me. and I'm gonna talk to someone because, to be honest with you, it feels great. When I was in therapy and when I was talking with just somebody, it doesn't even
Hmm.
have to be a therapist, my mom, my dad, when you talk about something that's bothering you or something, anything, you feel better. And
Yeah.
I write this book, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I don't have a degree, I'm
Well,
just
it's your
somebody.
story.
Yeah, I don't have
Hmm.
any, I went through it, but the whole reason why I wrote the book is when you read this book, the one thing I want you to take away from it is, if you have something, don't be afraid to seek someone out. There's tons of resources. There's tons of people who want to talk to you, friends, family, professional,
Yeah.
doctors, and stuff like that. They'll talk to you because what you're dealing with is real. And
Yeah.
and yeah,
I use a therapist biweekly now,
that's
but
great.
I
I
was doing
I
it
miss therapy.
every week. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the one cool thing that I think someone made a decision at one point. Maybe it falls under the CARES Act. I have no idea. I'm not a very political savvy person. Maybe I should be more attuned to it. But I do know that I haven't paid for my therapy in like a month or two,
Mhm.
or maybe longer, because someone's subsidizing it. So I don't know who,
Yeah.
but basically
I'm
I'm not
not
getting
yeah.
any
I'm
bills.
not sure. I know a lot about politics, but I'm not specific on
Yeah,
that,
but
but
that's
I
to me
think
that
it's
was a cool
great.
thing. Yeah, I think it's very important.
I think that's something we need to expand on,
Yeah,
especially now, in a pandemic. I
yeah,
don't know if you've seen, but depression and other kinds of things are being
yeah.
reported at record levels because people
Suicide.
are isolated. People are
Um,
isolated right now.
there's a
So
suicide, but it's not just suicide, right? There's someone with a mental illness that maybe it was in check, and then maybe they just start abusing the people they're living with,
yeah, it's
stuff like
it's
that.
rough right now. There's a lot of stress right now, and I mean, before I mean, even before the pandemic, we needed to do something about mental illness in this country. But
Right,
the pandemic has exacerbated it to a fact where we really need to have these conversations, and that's why I would give the book away in all these places. The one time you saw in Grand Central,
right,
is just, look, I want to, like, we would have constructive conversations
right.
about what mental health is and what we need to do to change, and the way we change mental health in this country is we need to start talking about it. We need
Right.
to start sitting down with each other, educating each other, sharing our experiences. And that's why I did it, and that's why it was so rewarding for me to do it, because I would talk to people and, listen, that's not changing the world or anything, but I'm telling you, if
Well,
everyone were to just talk to each other, we'd be in a much better
but
place.
I think you are changing the world, and that's why I wanted you on the show because I think you're impacting your community. It
I
starts
try.
by talking to one or two people in your community.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
important.
I try, I wish I could do this full time, and
Yeah.
just go on the street and talk to people and encourage people, because listen, if you just so many people, and including myself, I know firsthand, you bottle up these thoughts and they
Right.
could manifest into something that you don't want to go down that road.
It gets worse,
And
and I think that's what we see: a lot of homeless and a lot of these people that you read these stories on, or you're like, well, how could someone do that? Well, they might have
it's
been abandoned by us, their community.
yeah, exactly. And the system and society and things like that. I mean, and just to go back to some stuff that I went through,
Mm.
just because like, it's interesting.
Real
Imagine.
quick, we should name your book. It's embarrassed to ask, and then what
Yeah,
else? It's a
it's
long
in
title,
yeah, I know it is.
which is
It's
awesome.
embarrassed. Yeah, it's embarrassed to ask, my life with obsessive compulsive disorder and the cognitive-based therapy that helped. So
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's available on Amazon if you
The
search my
link,
name.
the links below as well.
Yeah. But something that I don't know, your audience might find interesting is,
Mhm.
actually, this was in a later stage of my visit in the hospital. You would imagine I was afraid of the toilet. I wouldn't use the toilet,
Mhm.
because I thought, and I don't know if you've ever, I don't know, thought about this. Sometimes when you flush the toilet, or sometimes, the water will get on you or maybe on your
Well,
jeans
that's
or
what they
something.
say, that you're supposed to close the lid because there's a splashback, right?
Yeah, there's a
Mm.
splashback. So,
Like micro
that was
splashback.
it's,
Mm.
you're not getting soaked, but listen, the water is going up, and I was afraid to use the toilet for that reason, because what if there was some contaminant, STD thing, blood or semen or whatever in the toilet bowl, and it came
Mm.
up on me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So basically, I that was what I was afraid of, and
But you
I
wouldn't use
went
any
from
toilet.
no toilet, nope, no toilet, and so I was at a much better stage at this point. It was late stage in the hospital. The staff would put goldfish, the toy, not the toy, the food, the snack, goldfish on the toilet seat, and I would eat off the toilet seat. So imagine
What?
somebody,
But I guess they
yeah,
cleaned it, right?
yeah, well, not in all cases, because there was sometimes. So I guess the fear was, hey, if you could eat these things off a toilet seat and not get any STDs, then you're going to be fine using it. So
Right.
it's not like
Okay.
it went in the bowl, but it was on the seat.
Yeah, yeah.
And at first, it was rough. Okay, it was tough to do that. It was hard to do that. I feel very anxious doing that. Um, but over time, I mean, not even that long, by the second or third time, I'm like, "Could I have some Chex Mix on this toilet seat?" They literally scattered and then, right, to try and trip me up, I guess, they would change the toilet, meaning, "Oh, we're not going to this toilet. We're going to a different toilet.
Oh,
Just a random toilet in the building. Random toilet in the building."
because you
So
got
I don't know
comfortable
if
with that
they
toilet.
yeah, I got comfortable with that
Wow,
toilet.
these are
It's
smart
kinda
people. It seems like they knew
yeah,
what they're
I mean,
doing.
and then, like and the same thing, I mean, listen, it wasn't even that bad even though they changed the toilet. It was just an attempt to try and get me to trip up. But it was imagine somebody who is so afraid of the toilet, of just using it, and now
Yeah.
they're eating snacks all over it. They put the snacks all over it, and they're like, "All right, eat the snacks." So, someone without this would probably be uncomfortable doing that.
Yeah. Well,
Just
no, I wouldn't eat food off the toilet.
I mean, so I don't know. Look, they could have cleaned it before. I wasn't in the room
No,
before,
I
but
know. I'm
maybe
sure
they
they did.
didn't.
Nah, I'm sure they did.
Maybe. I
But
mean,
you know
honestly, it
what?
doesn't
Whatever,
matter.
yeah, whatever helped you out. That's an interesting tactic, though. And
Um,
that's again to highlight the what I'm getting out of is the most important thing to do when you have a mental illness is not to try to cover the symptom, but get to the core of it.
exactly. And again, that kind of ritual I brought. I mean, I keep calling it a ritual, but it's not a ritual because that's what you do
I
when you
might have
have the
screwed
disease.
you
But
up and said ritual before.
yeah,
A healthy. What
but
is it? What is a healthy ritual? Like what is? You said
it,
trial,
it's trial. The real term, and I put in the book, is exposure. It's an
right?
exposure.
That makes
So
sense.
but the thing is, and I bring that up because I mean, I don't know, that's such a specific thing, like eating goldfish off a toilet seat.
Yeah.
Like they don't do that for everybody. I guess that's what I'm trying to say
Right.
is that that's why OCD is so hard to catch is because it's so specific to it could be general, but
Hmm.
it could be so specific that people are so good at hiding what's making
Right.
them anxious that a lot of people don't get treatment ever because
Yeah.
no one ever notices. And a lot of people didn't notice that this thing was going on with me. It was just a thing at home and some teachers.
Yeah.
But like and so I guess if you're going through something, and even if you're good at hiding it and no one thinks anything is wrong with you, if you know that something inside isn't right, just reach out. I would say reach out to somebody, talk to someone about it. I promise you that you'll just feel good talking with someone about it because you just feel good talking with someone about anything. So
Yeah.
yeah, we need to talk to each other more and stop
Yeah.
holding things in and
Maybe
stuff like that.
start with someone you can confide in and then maybe seek out a professional.
I was so lucky because my dad was really proactive. I wouldn't have gone up to him. I
Yeah.
would have kept going, and God knows how worse it would have gotten.
That's a
Um,
good thing
I
because not
mean, like,
everybody has that. And
not
that's
everyone
another thing
has that.
too.
Not everyone. You're right,
And you get
and
treated like you get treated like there's something wrong with you.
that's the thing, and people are so afraid because they don't want people going, "Oh, there's something wrong with him." They don't want that. It's a negative thing socially, and they're like, "I don't want anyone to be like, oh, that guy's crazy. That guy has this," and it's so bad because that
Yeah.
encourages people being silent. They don't want to tell anyone.
Yeah.
They're afraid of anyone finding out that they're thinking about this or that, and it doesn't have to be about OCD. Again, it could be about suicide,
Yeah.
depression, all these other mental health issues, and it's making us worse. And then with quarantine, we're so isolated right
Yeah.
now, and we have to be. But it's just an unfortunate circumstance where these problems are manifesting because you're not talking with anyone, you're not even seeing anyone in some cases,
Yeah.
and I feel so bad for people, and that's why like like I said, I want to be doing the giveaways in Grand Central, but I can't do that right now. No
Right.
one's going to come up to me with a mask on. Like maybe someone will, but it's just not practical.
Yeah. I mean, what I wanted to ask, if you don't mind, is
Sure.
all right. So the pandemic starts happening. What is going through your head? Did it?
Yeah.
Did you step back a little bit? Did you have to like do more like trials or whatever?
Luckily for me, I'm in such a good place mentally where anything that comes up with this STD stuffs or whatever that that my OCD was really latched onto,
Hmm.
I could identify it. I'm at a spot where I mean I'm never better. Like I said, I get the thoughts, I get the fears, but I'm in control. That's the difference. I really
Yeah.
am in control.
You're
I'm really
driving.
educated on the topic. So luckily, I mean, listen, the pandemic, not to say it's been a great experience. I mean, it's different. 6 feet, 6 feet. I'm working with a mask on. It's just a different thing I haven't experienced.
Hmm.
And it's terrible that we're still, there's no cure. We have to be vigilant, and it's
Yeah.
not the best experience. And I'm just lucky that I'm so far along that I'm able to identify all this stuff because I know there are some people who might not be as grateful. I mean,
Yeah.
as lucky as I am right now, being that far along in their treatment or whatever. So that might set them back, but luckily for me, it hasn't. And
Yeah.
I'm just thankful for that. I mean, some people I could only imagine if I had OCD at such a bad spot. I mean, maybe I'd be thinking about, oh my gosh, could I get the disease through the mail? Because now everyone's
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
stuff through mail. There's no
Yeah.
shops open, or there is, but very limited. People are ordering a lot more now.
Online. Yeah.
So I'm maybe that would be a thought in if I was going through it, but luckily I've been better since 2011 now.
That's awesome, man.
So it's been a
Congratulations.
while,
You've been putting the
and
work in.
I've
It's
been putting the
self
work
help.
in.
At
But
the end of the day, it's self help, right?
that's the thing. I wrote this book. I want to because even if you don't have OCD or you
Hmm.
don't have any other disorder, knowing about it
Yeah.
is part of the treatment of others. It's the solution. You know it. You could identify it in
Hmm.
somebody else, and that's what happened. Hey, with my dad. I mean, he identified it in me, and he was able to get me the help I need. So if we all know what's going on in each other, and we talk to each other, and we're open with each other, and we can observe each other, we can make our society as a whole better because people are better, and
Yeah.
it's important because these things are very hard to catch. This is
Yeah.
not like you
Not
said.
everybody gets it.
It's not like an alcohol, thing where oh, I'm gonna go to this place. You understand? I
Yeah.
need
It's like a
to get
society
sober.
doesn't
You
look at
know,
it the same way.
when you tell someone you've been in a mental health facility, who knows what they think about you, and that's
Yeah.
fine. I don't care what they think about me. Some people would say, oh well, maybe that guy, oh, he's been in a mental health facility, maybe he's not all there. Look, you could think about
Yeah.
that if you want. I don't care about it, but some people really do care about that, and they don't want to share
Well, it
what's
could
going on
ruin your
inside.
career. Like, say you're someone on the third floor of some building, it's like I'm not gonna, I'll just keep hiding it because if someone finds out that I went somewhere or I had to get help, well, then that guy's out or that girl,
Exactly.
that,
Yeah, there is a lot of discrimination against that kind of stuff
yeah,
because, again, people don't want to be associated with people who they say are crazy. But
it's
to be
true.
honest with you, I got to be honest with you, no one is normal. I mean, no,
Yeah.
not one person. Normal is fake. It doesn't
Yeah.
exist. I've never met anyone. I don't know anyone who I consider normal. Even if
Yeah.
you think someone's normal, you go, that guy's normal. No, he's not.
Well, those are
You
usually
just
the
don't know him.
worst. The people
Yeah,
that seem very normal are usually the ones that are,
exactly. You don't know what's going on in someone
yeah,
else's head. So if you see someone and you go, "That's a normal person," I guarantee you they don't think they're normal. I
yeah,
guarantee you they don't think that. So normal doesn't exist. And that's the thing. People want to go, "I want to be normal. I
yeah,
want to be normal. I want to be normal." And it's like, I get that feeling because I want it to be normal. I want it to be better, but I realize normal doesn't exist. It really doesn't. It's fake.
yeah.
It's fake. It
No,
doesn't
it is.
exist.
It's that weird society standard we have.
Yeah.
I know we're running out of time, so I just want to ask, do you plan on writing a follow-up or maybe writing something different?
It's something that I've been asked a lot.
Hmm.
There's been a lot of interest in this book, and I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah,
And
I
I
can't wait
think
to read it.
I think there is. Um, Not anything anytime soon, but maybe a couple years down the line or something like that when I feel like I've gone through
Hmm.
maybe like a check-in book, kind of like, okay, I went through this. This was this many years ago, but now we're at this point in my life. Like maybe
Right.
when I'm 40 years old, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
something where I've hit a milestone, and just maybe like a follow-up on maybe how society has gone this way, that way, or how I'm doing, etc. But maybe.
Two questions I wanted to ask you is I
Sure.
don't want to run out of time. I want to get complete thoughts. The
Mhm.
first one is, did you do any research for the book besides your personal experience, or is
You
this
know what?
purely your just based off of your experience?
This book is mostly my experience. I did some research on CBT, even though I
Mhm.
went through cognitive-based therapy. I wanted to get the exact definition.
Factual, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to be, but most of the book is just me. But aside for some little things,
Hmm.
like there is no statistics in there or anything like that, because
Yeah.
then I would do research. But most of the book is just straight off the dome, straight off
That's
me.
great, man. And
Mhm.
then also, have you been or are you in any relationships with an intimate relationship, and how does that impact you? I'm sorry if I
Yeah,
put you on the spot,
no,
but
believe me. Listen, and a lot of people they go ace. They fixed you too good.
yeah.
I'm in. I have done not to brag or whatever. I've been in a lot of intimate relationships, and
Okay.
there's been no problems.
Okay,
And
good.
they go, and one thing though, real quick before we end, because I
You,
should say,
mhm.
with the hospital and everything, the patients that I was with, we formed a secret Facebook group that I'm in.
Oh.
That it's a secret group, so you'll
Mhm.
never find it.
Yeah.
But we stay in contact with each other and just check in with each other every once in a while, just
Yeah.
to kind of do that thing. Because I've been talking about
It's like a
communicating with each
support
other.
group.
It's a support group. And I just want to say, because a lot of them have been really great friends and
Mhm.
lifelong friends. So some of them might be seeing this. So hello. And as well as the reason why I bring that up is that you guys should really consider, if anyone is trying to reach out to you, or you want to reach out to someone, do not be afraid to do it. I promise you, you can make your life just so much better just by talking with someone. Just it doesn't even have to be about you. Just talk with people. I
Right.
know it's really tough right now. We're in a different time right now with this coronavirus.
Yeah.
Please, don't be afraid to reach out, even if it's a stranger. I promise you, you'll feel good just talking with people, listening to people, and I think we need to do that more. So,
I agree 100%. I think you just nailed it. And you know, I'm very fortunate to be able to talk to you. I look forward to reading your book, Embarrassed
yeah,
to
thank you.
Ask,
Mhm,
which you guys can find the link in down below. And
mhm.
I know I only got you for a little bit of time, so I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And if there's anything else you would like to say, or maybe point people to the right direction to find your Instagram stuff, which is linked.
Yeah, certainly. I just want to thank everyone for watching. I guess I appreciate people taking the time out of their day to listen, of course, to you, but to me and what I had to say. I just want to do something positive. That's kind of like my dream, I guess, is to try and help people because of what I went through. And you can find my Instagram below. It's at Ace Orenstein, and you could find my other links like Twitter is the same thing, and
Cool.
stuff like that. So you could all find that from my Instagram. And I also would say, if you want, you can reach out to me. I keep saying reach out to people.
Yeah,
You can reach out to me if you really want on Instagram, or you could find me wherever. And just say hi, or you want to talk about mental health. I'm here. So
that's
yeah,
great.
that's it.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm hoping next time we can get you in the actual studio.
That'd be great. That would be great. I would love to, for
Okay.
sure,
And I'll
for
definitely
sure.
read the book. And I'll let you know how it is. And I can't wait to talk to you more about it. This is
Awesome,
more
man.
about talking to you, and then next time we'll talk about the book more.
All right, great, great. I'm
Awesome.
looking forward to it, and thanks a lot for having me on.
Cool,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Have a fantastic day. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Cool, man. Later. Thank you.
Later.
All right.